Mike Moore Media.
On our media line, I have Rodney Cates, Director of Rockingham County Emergency Services, our monthly visit, always on the first Wednesday in the month, and here it is. And did we get through July 4th okay? Everything pretty calm around the county last night, Rodney?
It was. No reports of anything that jumps out at us. I think everybody was able to enjoy fireworks and cookouts and hot dogs and burgers, and it appears they did it in a safe fashion, and we're certainly thankful for that.
Yeah, okay. Usually have rain on the 4th, but I think we escaped that pretty much for the most part, it looks like, too. That's good.
That's right. We had a few storms in there prior to that, the days prior to the 4th, but luckily Mother Nature looked after us yesterday.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned hot dogs and hamburgers, always a good time with that, a fun time of the year. I see July is National Grilling Month, so maybe time to get a reminder there about some safety tips, too, I guess.
It is. You know, it's always safe. People, they grill on their decks and things of that nature, and which is fine as long as that grill is a safe distance from anything that could start a fire, especially dry wood, siding on houses. The vinyl siding on houses it will burn, and certainly want to make sure that those grills are well away from that, and inspecting those grills, making sure the burners in those grills are safe if they've not been used in a while, making sure there's no leaks if it's a gas grill from the gas canister to the grill itself, the line that goes through there, the regulator, making sure that all that is in good working order is always important. Beginning this grilling season, and certainly eliminate any fire hazards that we may have, keeping the little ones away from those grills that not only fire hazards, you know, the burn hazards for the little ones that want to run around and play while we're grilling, and we have to make sure that they're safe and a safe distance away so that they can't touch them and be burned by those as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so be careful out there and enjoy your cookouts. Okay, well, June 1 through November 30 is hurricane season where we are, and they're predicting about a dozen, or 12 to 17 named storms and maybe 5 to 9 hurricanes. Hard to, I guess they can predict those to a point, but we never know. But maybe, again, a reminder about that and how we can be prepared, Rodney.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about it many times, NC Ready. NC Ready is certainly a good friend for all of us. We can access that through the web, and that gives us any hurricane tracks. If there are named storms out there and they're starting to track these storms, that'll give us hurricane storm predictions, landfall predictions, where does the storm go once it makes landfall, and that helps us make our predictions as to what we need to do, one, from an emergency management standpoint, but number two, from a citizen standpoint. What do we need to do to prepare our families for these events? You know, as we've talked about many times, even though these hurricanes, we're not on the coast, these hurricanes can have a very lasting impact on our area, especially those that track southward, that come in around Charleston, South Carolina, south of Myrtle Beach, even a Georgia landfall can be very devastating to us. The panhandle of Florida, a landfall right there, though that seems so far away, those storms can pack a very, very powerful punch well inland and drop tremendous amounts of rain. And we've seen that in the past, and we just want to make sure that all of our citizens are prepared for that. We monitor that very, very closely this time of year, and make sure that all of our resources are ready. Every 2 weeks, we go out and start all of our generators and our UTVs and all of our emergency equipment that we typically don't use unless something like this occurs. We start that equipment every 2 weeks just to make sure that it is prepared and ready. When the cold weather gets here, we start it every week to make sure that it's ready. So preparations are not just incumbent upon emergency management professionals, but also citizens to make sure that all of their stuff is ready as well.
Sure. Okay. ReadyNC.gov, as you've mentioned, and we've talked about that before. What a great tool that is. Lots of good information there. ReadyNC.gov. So have that on my phone and at quick access there when we need it. So we don't want people to pass that over, because it really is some good information there, isn't it?
It is great information, and it's storm related, it's travel related, it's preparation related. So any questions that we would have that we may want to research, it certainly gives us availability to do that.
We're certainly blessed here in Rockingham County with our rivers, and I know you wanted to talk about river safety all year round, but particularly this time of year for sure.
We do, as the weather gets warmer. And this past weekend, there were many, many people on the river, and many outfitters put people on the river, and people willingly themselves get on the river. Great resource, great for our county, great for the citizens here, but certainly a danger. We just want to encourage people to wear those personal flotation devices, even though they're in an inner tube. That inner tube can be busted by any numerous ways out on the river, rocks or sticks, or the inner tube could just deflate on its own. And if it does, that is not a personal flotation device. So people need to wear those personal flotation devices in the event that inner tube were to go down. And we encourage that. We did it on the news a few weeks ago. Channel 2 News was up here, and we did a story on that to encourage people to do it. So know the river, know the dynamics of the river. If the water's up, know what the flow is. Know what those weather conditions are. So many times, Mike, we see people go out in the afternoons, which is a great avenue to do. But they get out there and they get caught in an afternoon storm, and they panic. They don't know what to do, and then we're putting rescuers on the water in the woods to try to get these people out and out of the river and through the woods back to a roadway where we can get them to safety. But our personnel are out there in these extreme weather events as well, and certainly we'll do whatever we have to do to assist these people that are caught on the river. But that quick check of the weather forecast, it may say storms are likely later on, could perhaps change the path of that tour that afternoon, or that tubing event down the river. That could enhance the safety of everyone. So checking that weather forecast and knowing what is forthcoming that day can certainly enhance one's safety when they're out on the river.
That's exactly right, yeah. Sometimes people coming into the area not familiar with our rivers and get turned around too, don't they?
They do, but now, and our Tourism and Development office has done a great job. DARVA, the Dan River Basin Association, has done an outstanding job at putting signages at all the landings. There are Blueway maps at the landings. There are kiosks that have multiple points of information about these rivers and the different landings as people enter the river. So there are many, many pathways of information that people can get to, again, enhance their safety as they begin to tour down these rivers.
That's right, yeah. And that new, fairly new ROCO Blueway guide, too, is available at a lot of different places, and that's extremely helpful. So pick up a copy of that before you get on the waters as well. Okay.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Oh, wow, we've packed a lot into this, a little bit of time already. Anything else we needed to mention?
Just a quick shout out to our Emergency Management Division and our Fire Marshals group. Just last week, we had a missing elderly male. Our Fire Marshal group, in conjunction with the Sheriff's Department, they had people on the ground. Our Fire Marshal and our Emergency Management group were able to launch drones and look at that footage from the drone as they're on the ground. They were able to locate the gentleman, and he was brought back to safety. So some great technology in this county that was supported by our county administrators to make these purchases. Some of these programs are supported by state funds and or federal funds, but this county has a lot of resources and a lot of talented people that are able to save lives each and every day. And this was just another example of that. By launching that drone, having the knowledge of what they're looking for, having the ground crews on the ground ready to move in, EMS there to check the patient out as soon as they were able to get to him. So certainly some very skilled, very talented people that put all of their knowledge and experience together last week, certainly in a life-saving effort for a gentleman.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. And I know from time to time you go before the county commissioners, you recognize some of our key people here and things that have done too. Anyone in particular you needed to single out while we have this time?
No, because it was a group effort. Many groups were involved, so we mitigate emergency situations from a team concept. So the teams involved, which would have been EMS, the Fire Marshal's Office, Emergency Management, Rockingham County Sheriff's Department, our 911 team here that is making those calls and putting all those resources together. Certainly team efforts is what mitigates these situations. So we're certainly proud of all the members of all of our various teams in the county.
We certainly are. Thank you. All right, and thank you, Rodney Cates. Good to have some time as usual. Hope you have a good July.
All right, Mike, you too, and we look forward to talking to you again.
You bet. Thanks a lot. Okay, bye. Rodney Cates is Director of Rockingham County Emergency Services, our 911 communication system here in the county. And yes, I thank you to all of those folks that are right there on the front line for us 24/7. I remind you to go to the county's website, that is rockinghamcountync.gov. Lots of good information there, rockinghamcountync.gov. And on Facebook, you can go to Rockingham County Emergency Services, Rockingham County Emergency Services, to keep up to the minute on what's happening in that department. We appreciate all of those folks for sure. And I remind you, too, about that readync.gov, the information that's there all the time when you need it, readync.gov.